Bob Bradley and Benny Feilhaber have a history together, and Bob joins us now on the line to talk about this trade. Bob, how are you?
I'm good, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So, Benny Feilhaber, the newest member of LAFC, obviously you sent some of that allocation money sporting Kansas City's direction. What is it about Benny that fits LAFC, Bob?
He's a good footballer. We try to get as many of them as we can.
Well, in that sense, is there, obviously Benny's talents on the attacking end of the field are notable. Is this the kind of thing where you had identified an individual player, certainly one you're familiar with, who fits in with a scheme?
Yeah, I guess so. But again, when I say things like a guy's a good footballer, what does it mean? It means that Benny's understanding of how to find space when he has the ball, he sees passes, his ability to be creative. I also think that when he's around the ball, he has an ability to still close guys down and help put pressure on people. That when you challenge him with football ideas because he understands the game, he likes being pushed in those ways. So, when you start a team, you want to have enough guys that every day in training love to play, guys that understand the game, guys that bring quality. And I think that absolutely he's a guy like that.
Obviously, a veteran guy as well. Is that something that good footballer, does that mean leadership is part of the list of qualities that Benny Feilhaber brings to the team?
Yeah, I'll challenge him to bring as much of that as he can. I mean, certainly Benny has I've watched him a lot in the years at Kansas City. I think he's grown in those ways. Everybody talks about leadership. Even at times in discussions in-house here, I laugh when I hear people say that he has MLS experience, he's a good guy, and he's a leader. And I'll sort of say, well, there aren't as many real leaders in the league as you think. So challenging guys the right way to bring leadership qualities out of them and getting them to be good examples, that takes work. And I think Benny can do that at this point in his career. But when I spoke to him on the phone last night, I said, we'll pick up where we left off, which means good football, and I'll challenge you, and I'll be hard on you, and hopefully it'll all work.
Is that an on the field thing and off the? Do you worry so much about locker room leadership, especially in a league that's as diverse and as international as it's ever been? I mean, is that even something that you can account for in a room where there's probably 4 or 5 different languages being spoken?
Yeah, you need guys off the field that still carry themselves the right way, but most of all, you need good examples. You need guys that understand the game, guys that want to win, guys that pay attention. Leadership isn't just about talking. Leadership is about how you handle yourself every day, how you handle yourself when you step on the field in games, when you come in for training. Do you look like you want to be there? So, like I said, I don't think that I hear very many discussions where there's a real sense of what makes for leadership in teams, in any sport. And sometimes we give credit to guys who don't really have it and act like they do. And then sometimes the ones who are most obvious leaders and set the tone for teams and change cultures don't get any credit or respect. So when I look at it all, I think it's pretty interesting.
Talking to Bob Bradley, head coach of LAFC. Benny Feilhaber acquired by the team yesterday. And, Bob, just had Steve Davis on, who was very enthusiastic in his praise for what you're doing there in L.A. In part, he mentioned the 2 center backs that you've got. We'll kind of make it into a cliche. You build a team from the back. I don't know if that's the way you necessarily saw this. You got to get all those pieces together. But what do Walker Zimmerman and Laurent Simon bring as a pair?
I think that to begin with as defenders. They're both capable of playing passes out of the back and helping your team begin the idea of playing football. I like the fact that they're not afraid when they have the ball. They're not afraid to make passes into the midfield. Defensively, they're both also with a mentality of stepping up and making plays and not just dropping deep. And I think Laurent's experience and mentality will go well with Walker. And one of the things that I really like about Walker is as a young player, he's got personality. And so for me, you build a team with a sense of how the whole thing fits. So I'm not one who says that you build it from the back or, good teams are complete. Good teams good teams understand how all pieces fit together. But certainly when you have guys in the back who are smart, who can play, who can pass, who work together defensively and organize the players around them, then I think that helps in terms of the football your team plays.
How close are you to feeling like you've got a team that you can work? I mean, obviously there's a lot of pieces left to be acquired here, Bob, but 6 or 7 or 8 guys now. How close do you feel to, well, we can go out and compete? If I can get these guys on a training field and we can do some work.
Yeah, I'm excited to get started. I think that there are parts to it that fit together nicely, but I also understand you don't get ahead of yourself, and so we've got to build a roster from top to bottom to top. I mean, every piece of the roster becomes important. You want to make sure that you've got, as you already mentioned, some experience, but you need then young guys that you think over time are going to grow and benefit from being around good training and good experienced players. And that kind of work starts when you begin training. So we still have a few weeks. We've got obviously the combine and the college draft. We're still in discussions with players that fit some of the different categories, whether it's DP, TAM, or all these other things. But, when you throw out the categories, it's still about having as many good players as possible and trying to get guys that you think are going to fit together and are excited about the project.
It's probably not a guy more qualified to take a team into a first season in Major League Soccer and achieve something as you, Bob, for obvious reasons, historical things there. How
a long time ago,
difficult do you think?
Keep that in mind.
All right, a long time ago, but still counts. You've got an idea, I'm sure, of making the playoffs in year one. I mean, obviously Atlanta did it last year. Everybody raved about how they played, and the fact they made the playoffs is. I'm sure your goal is that, but. Is there a distinct process in mind? I mean, how difficult is it, I guess, is the question, to go from 0 to a playoff team in one season?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't talk or think like that. You think about becoming a good team and the work every day and what that means. And every time you have a chance to play, you see things that are going in the right direction. You see things that need work. And then you continue the process. And then as you move along, then you can start to be clearer with what goals mean. So to start a season and say the goal is to make the playoffs, I mean, that's not the kind of stuff you talk about. But you try to establish with a group of guys that when we have the ball, what are we going to look like? When we lose the ball, what's going to happen? What's our mentality going to be? What kind of football are we going to play? What's our identity? So you work on all those things with the idea that if we become a good team, then the rest will take care of itself.
So obviously, again, everybody's goal is to be the best team they possibly be. Does that mean that you're not necessarily going to be too bothered by what the schedule looks like when it comes out this afternoon, or are there going to be games that you're circling?
Well, I'm excited to see the rest of the schedule. I know a little bit of it. Certainly Any manager is going to look at the schedule and see things they like, see things they don't like. But when all is said and done, you've got to put that aside and build a team that's ready to step on the field and play football and compete and not be afraid and try to win games. And, one of the things I think is important is this idea that you understand what it means to step on the field and go for it, try to win. I think even to the first year when I got to Staubach, everybody said it was impossible to stay up. And I remember saying to the players right from the start that the idea is not to go and hope that on enough days we can hang in there or take a point. The idea is to be a good team that goes on the field, tries to win, tries to play good football, and isn't afraid to go for 3 points every time we step on the field. And so I think it fit a team like Staubach that was coming from the second league up. And I actually think that mentality fits a new team in Major League Soccer.
There it is. Bob Bradley, head coach of LAFC, adding new names to his roster. I'm sure we'll have more in the coming days, getting closer and closer to training camp and the first ever match in the club's history. Bob, thanks so much for the time. I very much appreciate it.
All right, guys. Talk soon.